Service Master Clean Hard Floor Installation and Repair Task Schedule. Purpose: install on top of any floor system without stripping. Also used to repair and recondition large floor areas. On this side, we have the hard floor installation and repair task schedule key functions. Be sure you follow each key function as they're necessary for this system to work correctly. On the right-hand side, we have procedures, step-by-step procedures on how to accomplish the job. On the back, you will follow and find the tools required for this function. The first step is we're going to dust mop the floor. So we're going to take a dust mop, 36-inch in this case, and we're going to spray it with Zing Dust Control. One spray for every 6-inch length of dust mop. So that's 6 sprays. We then put the dust control back on the dust mop frame and dust mop the floor. Now, as we dust mop, we want to be sure that we do the edges, and we want to dust mop the corners. Because we're using a 36-inch mop, in this case, we can do this with 2 passes. Then just push the dirt aside. The next step is to pre-spray the edges with Zing Floor Prep, undiluted. Adjust the spray head to a stream and not a mist, and then spray the edges. Now, as we do the edges, we get to a door. We do not want to spray the floor prep on the door area. Just keep it on the edges, right on the baseboard. We'll wet that when we mop the solution down, when we're putting down a solution. Now we get to the other end here, we're going to notice that there's a carpet at the other end. I want to make a point here that if you get the floor prep on the carpet, it doesn't really make any difference. You can't harm anything. The next step is to mix floor prep 8 ounces per gallon with cold water. There's 4 gallons of water here. This is an 8-ounce measuring cup. We're putting 4 cupfuls in the bucket. We're then going to mop this solution on the floor. We're also putting some of the solution in another bucket that we're going to pour into the solution tank that's on the machine. We're going to now take this solution, this 8 ounce per gallon solution. Don't wring it out, just press down lightly and then mop the floor. We're mopping the edges first. Now we put the solution where the doors are. This way we don't push the chemical into the other room. That's why we didn't spray it there. So be sure and wet the whole area. I'm going to say this a couple times. We want to be sure and keep this process wet while we're scrubbing. We're now going to do the center. This happens to be a very good mop that we're using. It has looped ends and it's stitched. It's also a light mop and very easy for anyone to use. The next step that we're going to follow is we're going to put the driving pad on the machine, and don't put the machine handle all the way to the floor because the solution tank has chemical in it and it'll pour all over the floor. Once you have the driving pad on the machine, which also has a strip pad. Now I want to make mention that all machines have a safety switch. This is so that you don't turn on the machine accidentally during the process, in case you leave the machine alone. We're now placing a 25-pound weight on the machine. Then we're going to adjust the handle, and the handle should be below your belt. So it's very easy to operate, and we're going to start on this side, and what we're going to do is work backwards. When we work backwards from the right side of the machine, we have a mechanical advantage. We do this all the way around. To do the edges. The machine has an oversized driving pad which will go right up to the edges. There's no extra edge cleaning. We're then going to connect the center in straight rows, and what we're doing here is we're running the machine in straight rows, 4 rows, and each row we're overlapping by 1/3. We call this 4 rows and cross. Now you'll notice after we've done 4 straight rows, we're going to cross those rows in the opposite direction with the machine. And the reason we do this is so that we catch every bit of the floor. There's no such thing as a flat floor. This catches all the hills and all the valleys in the floor. This is the main process, how you eliminate, so when you're finished, you don't have spots that you haven't stripped all the way, or not stripped, but scrubbed. But now the next step is to pick up the solution with a wet and dry vacuum. In the event you miss any areas at this time when you're picking it up, it doesn't make any difference. You'll pick up those areas when we rinse. After we pick up all the solution, the next step is to use fresh, clean rinse water with 2 ounces per gallon of floor prep. This time we're wringing out the mop as good as possible, and now we will pick up any solution that was left behind, and we're actually rinsing the floor. Now the best thing to do is to burnish the floor while it's damp. So now we're going to put the pad on the machine, and I want you to notice that the pad is thicker than the pad holder. Therefore, we have to break in a brand new pad. I'm going to show you how to do that. Put the pad on the floor and step on it with the heel of your shoe, and you'll break the pad in and make it much easier to put on the machine. We're then going to stand behind the machine with the apron against our knees, or our knees against the apron. Line the pad up and click the pad holder in place. There you go, and it's in place. We're now going to adjust the handle on the machine. And we want to be sure that the handle is below our belt. This is very, very important, because when you lock the handle, if it's too high, what you tend to do is tilt the machine back, and you're not even burnishing the floor. So the pad's not touching. So you want to be sure that the handle is below your belt, so the pad is on the floor. We're now going to use CPC. It says on the bottle to use 1,000, 3 inches covers 1,000 square feet. In this case, we're only going to use 2 drops because we're doing a small area. Run the machine right into the chemical and burnish the floor as fast as you can walk. Now we're going to dust mop once more, because there's always some dirt that we pulled out from the edges that we didn't get when it was wet. Because it's dry, you'll always have a couple specks on the floor. If you don't pick it up now, you'll have it in your floor finish. We're now going to apply the floor finish. We use a valve that has an on and an off. Open the valve, pour the finish on the floor. In this case, we're doing a small area, so we're pouring it down the center. Mop to apply the finish It's pre-wet with water at the sink, and spread the finish out and do the edges all at the same time.